Hey goddesses, so I'm back with another wedding video, a part of my Vogue Affair series, and this one is all about venues. If you haven't noticed, I make videos as I go and everything that I've done and what I've learned from it, and the things that help me get along the way. So I'm not a professional. I am getting myself into this business, but right now I'm still crawling, so I'm not running yet with this. I'm still crawling. But yes, so this is all about venues. So first, when it comes to finding a venue, you need to make sure you have a budget set already and know how much of your budget you want to put towards your venue. So for example, if you have a $15,000 budget, do you want to spend $5,000 of your budget to go towards your venue? Okay, so just make sure you have a budget set before you start looking for a venue, because you don't want to fall in love with a venue that's $6,000 and your budget is on, and when you talk to your fiance or you talk to your parents or whoever's paying for the wedding and you talk to them and they're like, no, we only have $10,000 for this budget, or $15,000 for this budget completely for your wedding completely, you don't want to have the majority of your budget going towards your venue. You do want it to be nice, but it's so many inexpensive venues out there that are still so nice that you can find. Two, you need to also think about if you want your ceremony and your reception to be at the same place. Do you want to have a church ceremony and a ballroom type of reception, or do you want to just have your ceremony and reception at one venue, all in the same room where everybody is already sitting down, and you have your ceremony, you walk out and you come in and the reception starts? Or do you want it to also be in the same place that has different locations, that you can have your ceremony in one location and the crowd or your guests can flow and move to another section for your reception? And you also want to think about if you want a cocktail hour before the ceremony or after the ceremony, so that can also flow smoothly. This is number 3. You also want to think about location. You don't want to have a venue that's, say for instance, I stay in Houston. I don't want to have a venue that's all the way in, let's say in Corpus Christi. That's a drive for everyone to make, and so you want to think about that when you're picking your venue. Like, is it worth the drive? Can you find a venue that's closer to your guests, that that gives you the same feel as having something closer to water or something like that? That's just an example. And so that comes to my 4th point, convenience. With convenience, that's also thinking about what day you want your wedding on, what time you want your wedding to start. I'm not going to say you don't want. It inconveniences a lot of your guests if you have a weekday wedding. Even though it's cheaper, it inconveniences them because they have to come after work and they have work the next day. If they have kids, they have to get their kids ready, make sure their kids have eaten, especially if it's a adult only affair, or if the kids are there, they have to get themselves ready, get the kids ready, drive to your wedding, and then drive home. But they're gonna leave early because they have to make sure the kids are in bed at a good time. Sorry if the lighting is changed. I'm using natural light. But yeah, so you want to just make sure it's the day of your wedding is very convenient. You want to make sure the time. You don't want to have, again, let me stop saying you don't want to have. It inconveniences a lot of your guests when you have an early wedding, especially on a weekday, if you have a 5 o'clock wedding, because a lot of people don't get off until 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock or sometime around there. So you just really want to make sure you're kind of following a little etiquette and proper protocol. So number 5, think about when you're picking your venue, you want to think about if you can bring an outside food provider, beverage provider, your own decorations, own linens, to make it your own day. Or if the venue offers packages for food, beverages, decoration, you want to think about those things. Do you want to create and do a lot of DIYs and do your own thing, or even find your own florists or own people to do the things to make your day as special and as unique as you want it? I personally didn't go with a venue that had packages because I didn't want my wedding to feel like everybody else's wedding. I wanted my wedding to be a part of me and my fiance totally. So I went with a venue that I could bring my own caterer, bring my own decorations, bring my own beverage provider, because that's something that I always wanted, because I have so many people who do those things, and I'd rather go with people that I trust already than go with somebody that I really don't trust and I have to kind of fill out and trust them to make my day special. At least I know the people that I picked, they're gonna have my back because I know these people personally. So that comes to 6, you want to think about parking. I went and I checked out 6 different venues before I said yes to a venue. And the venue that I did say yes to, I checked it out probably 4 times. Yeah, I checked it out like 4 times before I said yes. But like I said, you want to think about parking. Some of the venues that I really liked were downtown Houston. So that meant my guests would have to park in parking lots around the venue because the venue didn't offer free parking, or they would have to valet. And valet was like $25 per car. My guests are coming out to support me and have a good time and share this moment. I wouldn't want them to spend $25 just to park their car to come to a wedding. I would hate if somebody invited me to a wedding and they're like, by the way, you have to pay $25 for parking. I'm like, hold up, boo-boo. Press pause. I'm gonna have to pay what? Not because I'm cheap, but it's like I'm coming out to support you and I'm gonna have to pay more money on top of the gift I already got you, plus my travel time it took me to get here to park at your wedding. Are you serious? So you really, and that comes back to being convenient. You want to make sure your guests feel like they really want me to be here. So I feel like parking is big. So that was 4, 5, 6. So I think I'm on 7. So 7, you want to think about your theme. If you're having a theme for your wedding, or you want a certain ambiance set at the wedding, that also helps when you're picking your venue. If you want something more country chic, you want to think about places that give you that, like old vineyards or old mansions, or if you want a big Cinderella kind of theme, you want to look for grand ballrooms, or if you're having a church wedding, a grand church. If you're thinking something more modern, sleek, very sleek and lavish, think about having it like the little like ballrooms, but they're kind of like very sleek ballrooms, like kind of club atmosphere. So you want to kind of think of that. If you're kind of going for very romantic, you want to look for the very natural browns, like natural wood, natural brick. That kind of brings out a very romantic feel when you're going for a theme. Number 8, you want to think about how many guests your venue can hold. That also comes with making your guest list, or kind of jotting down and getting guest list started, or having in your mind, this is how many people, this is the amount that we want at our wedding. We don't want to go over that. My venue that I chose can hold up to 250 guests comfortably. And I only said that I'm going to have between 150 and 200 people. So my guests are going to be extremely comfortable. I don't have to worry about anybody being crammed. And so when you're thinking about that, and especially if you're going to have a cocktail hour and you're going to try to make it flow, that also helps, because you don't want all your guests, especially if you're having a large wedding, you don't want all your guests to be crammed trying to get cocktails and hors d'oeuvres and all that kind of stuff. You want to make sure everybody's comfortable, because if you watch 4 weddings, they talk about the brides who have these small venues and they have 300 people and everybody's like little sardines trying to move around. So yeah, just make sure your guests are comfortable. You want to make sure nobody's bumping into each other when they're trying to eat, or if you're gonna have a buffet and, you know, they're trying to get their food and all that kind of stuff. You just want to make sure everybody's good. Number 9, you need to, that comes with setting a date. You need to make sure your season goes with your venue. I know August, I think August through November is like hurricane season. So it's always raining. You don't want to have a outside wedding and it's hurricane season, or have a yacht wedding and it's hurricane season. That's all your luck, and that's more stress on you as a bride. If you get caught in the rain, that'll ruin your day. A lot of people are like, I'll take it for the team. No, when you get down to the nitty-gritty and you've done all this work, you're gonna be like, are you serious? And it rained on my wedding day. I'm pissed. So, you know, you just make sure your venue is proper for your season. And even if you do decide to have an outside wedding, because it is hurricane season, but it's still hot, especially here in Houston, it's still hot. So you kind of want to make sure that your venue has a backup plan. If you're going to do an outside wedding, make sure your venue has a place just in case it rains. You can move everything inside, and it's still just as beautiful as the outside wedding would have been. So that's a good, you know, kind of thing to think about when you're looking at venues. Number 10, last but not least, it's kind of miscellaneous type of points. Like, I needed to make sure that my venue had a bride and groom suite. I didn't want to have to already come face beat, hair whipped, dress on, looking good, and I'm sitting here look hot, sitting in somebody's office, or I'm standing outside waiting for them to tell me I can walk in. No, I wanted to make sure that I can come early, I can relax, me and my girls can sip wine, eat some snacks, talk, socialize, get our makeup done there so it's fresh, get our hair done there so it's fresh. I wanted to also make sure that my groom was comfortable. I wanted to make sure he had somewhere he could relax before the wedding, you know, bond with his groomsmen, make sure his hair is done, make sure he's looking good. You know, you want to think about those things, especially during the season. You don't want to have it raining outside and you're already done and you're waiting for them to say, hey, you can walk down the aisle now, and you're like standing outside with an umbrella over your head because you had to come to the venue already done. So that was a big point for me. A part of the miscellaneous, I wanted to make sure that it was restrooms available for my guests already there. I didn't want to pick a venue where I had to bring porta potties or anything like that. You know, some venues, if it's outside, you have to bring your own outside vendors, like tents, restrooms, all that. I didn't want that. So, and then that gets real costly. So I wanted to make sure the venue already had restrooms. And also, the last thing, a part of the miscellaneous I wanted to think about was, because I am bringing my own outside caterer, that my caterer would be able to prep at his studio, but be able to transfer the food over to warm it up, make sure everything's fresh, and even like the small things he could cook there, that it was somewhere accessible for him to do that. So I didn't want him to have to bring all these burners, cook everything at his studio, and then come in and like, hey, while we're doing the ceremony, everything's sitting on burners. So by the time everybody comes to eat for the reception, everything's kind of cold, not really fresh. So that is some of the 10 top things that I was looking at when I was looking for a venue. You know, you might have some other things that you're looking at, if you know. So make your list like you want it, but those are my top things, trying to help my brides. So if you have any questions, concerns, definitely link it down below. All my information, my blog is down in the description bar, my email is down in the description bar, and my Instagram and my Twitter. If you want to follow me on day-to-day life, or if you even have comments and concerns, you want to hit me up on Twitter, definitely do that. But don't forget to subscribe so you can see my videos every week. But I'll definitely talk to you later, goddesses. Bye.